I'm Robin Lundberg, and I'm joined now by NBA legend Dr. J, Julius Erving. And Dr. J, plenty I want to talk with you about, but let's start with the news of the moment. When I was growing up, Oscar Robertson's triple-double season was the stuff of legend. What was your reaction to seeing Russell Westbrook pass him for a career triple-double?
Well, I sent a message out to Russell, and I told him it was a phenomenal accomplishment, and he must be bionic because that was one of those records that you thought would never be broken. There's just the way the game has evolved. One player, having a hand in those three aspects of the game: scoring, rebounding, and assists that many times. And Russ, he's not an old guy. I mean, he's still got a lot of pep in his step. So he's going to ultimately put something up there that's going to be quite a challenge, for these bitty ballers now.
There was a big hubbub about a list that you had put out, and of course, I understand it was a list. A lot of those guys were, from when you were playing, or shortly thereafter, more your era. I was curious if you had a list of the top five current players who you think, five players you really marvel at and appreciate today.
Well, LeBron would be the top guy on that list. LeBron and Durant are the two best players in the league. If it's done by position, then we got to find a center, and it's sort of a toss up between Jokic and our guy Embiid, particularly this season. And they both have upsides because they're both young enough to get better. If the guards and forwards let them get better, I would put Curry on my list. You just mentioned Westbrook, Harden. Those guys can't be denied. So if I'm picking more than a five-man team, then those probably any of those guys would be in that lineup.
So you're saying there's a lot of guys you admire in today's game.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard. Oddly enough, he kind of it's like looking in a mirror sometimes, and just seeing. I can see what he's thinking and what he's feeling when he turns the corner, or goes to the hoop with the right hand or the left hand, or whatever. I mean, I could relate to what he's going through and what he's experiencing and what his expectation is.
It's always interesting when you're talking about, playing in your era versus playing today. You mentioned Steph Curry before. Obviously, the proliferation of the three-point shot is
Mhm.
different. But let's say you took a LeBron James, or you took a Steph Curry, and you dropped them back in your era.
Mhm.
How do you think that would look?
Uh, they would be great. They would be great players. The there's an expression that I like to use, the hero ball. When you're down one or you're down two, and you just are committed to take the three and go for the win, not go for the tie, not go for getting in the lane and taking the contact, getting the free throws or whatever. So they are part of a generation who who look at the hero ball play a lot differently than back in the 60s or 70s or even the 80s. If somebody took a fall away jump shot from behind the 3-point line at the end of the game and it missed, and that was like a 30% shot versus working a little harder to get a 50% shot or a 60% shot, then you were probably going to get a seat on the bench. And the conventional wisdom is that, what was applicable back then is not really applicable now. Team coaches endorsing how the players play and what the players do in terms of the hero ball and the times that it goes in. If it goes in a third of the time and they lose 2/3 of the time, it's still okay. And I probably would never get totally comfortable with that. That's probably why I'm not coaching in the NBA.
Kyrie Irving gave you some kudos not too long ago. He said it's not a coincidence the last time the Nets won a title, they were led by Julius Erving. And then he said, now there's another Irving on the team. Yeah, I've called Kyrie, when it comes to having the basketball in his hands, perhaps the most skilled player of all time. Do you have a similar admiration for his game?
Well, when I see him play, I mean, obviously I think about Tiny Archibald. He was amazing with the ball, and the next guy, Isaiah Thomas, amazing with the ball, but he seems to be able to have all the pieces. I mean, he has the 3-point shot, going to the hoop, left hand, right hand, floaters, an assist man. Um, he's more like sometimes he makes it look like he's playing with the Globetrotters against the Red. He makes some of the team look like the Washington Generals, man. Guys falling all over the place. So he's a show in himself, and he's fun to watch, and he's productive, and he's been a champion. So I think he knows what it takes to get back there, and he knows he has a cast around him that can get them there. But it's not just going to be offense that takes it at the end of the day. I mean, got to stop the other team, because every team has people in the league who can score.
Now, Hall of Fame coming up, and a big time class going in here. You have, of course, the late great Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, a part of it as well. What are your thoughts on that class, and specifically the idea of Michael Jordan in inducting Kobe Bryant?
Well, I think that's noble. He was there at his funeral service. He spoke brilliantly. He talked a lot about their relationship, and enough to bring him to tears. He probably be brought to tears once again this August when they induct Kobe into the Hall of Fame. And his class was a very powerful class, very impactful, just in terms of winning championships in the NBA, and they carved out their place in history quite well. And that representation, because Michael hasn't always been a guy who's been friendly towards the Hall of Fame, and it took some coercing to get him there, even to accept his own induction. And Bill Russell in that same category, he's like, nah, I don't want to go. I don't want to deal with it. But so for Michael to go back, that's a really big move for the Hall of Fame, being able to bring him back. And I should be there too, so I'll be in the background. I'll just be a fly on the wall.
Real quick on a couple of the other Hall of Fame guys, because I've seen some internet arguments, and I don't assume you're one that gets in there on internet arguments, but I just wanted to get your quick snap response to two I've seen involving guys who are getting in. Kevin Garnett and Charles Barkley had a little spat on TNT the other day. Kevin Garnett or Charles Barkley, who are you choosing?
Who's better? Yeah. Charles Barkley is better.
And then Shaquille O'Neal and Tim Duncan.
Shaquille was better.
Just too dominant?
Yeah, immovable object. Tim did it with finesse, and was clearly dominant, and obviously very successful. But if I was going to pick one guy to be on my team, and Charles and I were teammates, so I'm a little biased towards him positively. But to get Shaq and get Charles Barkley versus Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan, I mean, it's no contest.
There you go. The great Dr. J, Julius Erving. Really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to me today.
All good. You take care now.